Nagesh, how did you manage to keep it apolitical, given that this is the case where our former prime minister was killed, assassinated in the most gruesome manner? How did you navigate that, and how did you set the tone and treatment for the series?
Um, I think as the series creator or as the director, obviously I had a clear say in which way the uh, traffic would flow, so to speak. One thing I've always been very clear about is to avoid politics and religion. Um, it's one of those areas where you're absolutely going to upset someone. It really doesn't matter uh, how objective you try to be. So, with this, right from the very start, what excited me was the hunt, was the investigation. And being around when the assassination happened and understanding snatches of what happened and actually reading Anirudhya Mitra's book and realizing what had actually happened in those 90 days were two completely different things. And when I read it, it kind of, the my mind was blown, but purely as a filmmaker, that we strive so hard to write fiction, although AI is taking our jobs or has for the most part already. But to have these events actually play out was, and for anyone who's seen the show, if you actually stop and list the events that actually happened for a quote unquote successful conclusion, it's just beyond anything you can write in fiction. So the hunt itself was so interesting for me that I kind of saw the path forward to not touch upon any political angles to it. Um, and it clearly is the way you want to tell the story. It starts with a political assassination, and people assume that the rest of it is a political show, but it's only the assassination. After that, I try and steer clear of any of the things while showing almost everything that plays out. So it was walking on a sword's edge, but yeah. And after the show came out, too, just keeping my fingers crossed for the first 2 weeks. I mean, we're not out of the woods yet, but hoping that everything has gone smoothly. So
So you had your primary source material in the form of the book.
correct.
After that, what kind of research did it require, and how extensive was that, and what kind of filtering process the storytelling went through?
Um, I co-wrote it with two other writers, and obviously, when you have a book that you base everything on, and this also is for legal purposes to say that everything is based on the book, you do whatever the requisite research is. You read the articles. Uh, some of the SIT members themselves have written books on the event, but there are multiple viewpoints and differing viewpoints. So it became very apparent after kind of gathering all the material that we wanted to pick one and run with it, and that was the book. Um, However, what's interesting, and this was also the reason that attracted me to the project, was I never adapted a book. And one of the things that always excites me is if I do something I haven't done before, because I know that I'm going to have to give it my 200%. And in a book, sometimes the most amazing sequences that play out on cinema will be in a single line. And you go, did that really happen? Oh my God. That, like Koneswaran is stopped at a routine traffic stop. That's it. That's just one line. And you go, oh, that was technically the first break that they get in the case. So then you go about designing the whole sequence. And so to pick the events that actually tell the story, to make it cohesive, because when you undertake the largest manhunt in history, It's not as simple as what's shown in the show. It's like A plus B equals C plus, but it was dots that I had to string along the way, because you'd completely lose an audience if I had to do what you folks do for a living, because the investigation was like this, and there were 100 pieces that just kept popping up. There were huge lulls for 2 to 3 weeks, and then suddenly there'd be a break, and then again it would lead somewhere else. So I had to kind of just make it easy. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, it's such a thriller. Yeah, that's because we did it just so as, uh, in reality, it never plays out like that. No investigation ever plays out like that.
Were you looking for a theme for a series, or when you got this story and you decided that you want to make it, you also thought of it making in a movie form? I mean, was there ever a conflict there that you want to do a movie, or you were looking for a theme for a series, short series, and then
Actually, Applause brought me the material. Samir Nair, who heads Applause, he was the one uh, to whom Anirudhya had brought the material. And then he said, write a book so we can, make it all, check all the boxes. And then once the book was written, that's when he pitched it to me. So it was always a series from the get go. And honestly, I've now for the past 7 years, I've just been almost entirely in the series space, barring making one feature film in Telugu. Everything else that I've done has been here. And uh, the material that kind of makes sense for a series, uh, gone are the days when you would look at something and say, oh my God, this is so dense. How do I condense it in 2 hours? And now that stress is out the window, because you get the book and you go, oh, okay. The only question becomes the monetary viability in terms of should it be 6 episodes, or of course now we constantly get metadata about how many episodes is the correct number. But yeah, so it was pitched as a series. I was one of the earliest guys who jumped on to this bandwagon, because way before streaming came to India, I've been trying to pitch myself as a series director in the US. So I've had multiple meetings, I've pitched some ideas. I've also just offered my services as a director on, because I've just been an HBO fan for the last 30 years. 88 is when I went to the States. So I was a child of HBO. I mean, I just loved everything that they did. And to do something in the long format was something I was just waiting for. So when Applause came around, I was like, finally. And then once that वो चस्का वो जो लग गया उसके बाद it's like, no, I mean, don't get me wrong, feature films are awesome and they're still my, you know, uh, it's where I began, and it's something I don't want to abandon. But up to this point, it's been very gratifying to do stuff in the long format.